A 26-year veteran with the Atlanta Police Department, Officer Richard Halford, 48, died in the line of duty on November 3, 2012, when the helicopter he was piloting crashed. The officer and his partner were assisting in the search for a missing 9-year-old child. Halford was bigger than life, explained a childhood friend and colleague. Friends fondly remember the officer calmly putting on his black flight gloves, even when the emergency calls came in loud and breathless. Richard joined the department in May of 1986, initially working patrol duties in the Zone 4 precinct. Not content to settle for the ordinary, the officer applied for a position in the motorcycle unit. Shortly thereafter, Richard got his wish and his Harley. Life was anything but routine as he rode his bike on the streets of Zone 4, performing a myriad of duties, including escorting dignitaries, which included at least one president. Always seeking new challenges, Richard reluctantly parked his bike and joined the department's newly formed DUI unit. That experience worked well for a while, that is, until the urge to fly grabbed hold of Richard. That urge would eventually be satisfied, and Officer Halford would wind up working in the air unit for more than 16 years, logging more than 3,000 flight hours. Richard loved golf, and so he requested to work the night shift, giving him the time to squeeze in a round. However, as one of Atlanta's city councilmen explained, Richard wanted to fly the night shift for more reasons than playing golf. He actually thought he was the best night flying pilot in the world. Over the years, as his fellow officers watched Halford's skills at cornering suspects and landing on a dime, they lovingly began referring to him as Cool Hand Luke. The most senior pilot on the force, Halford garnered respect from the entire department. His flight instructor remarked, the way he handled the helicopter, the way he prepared mentally to go in every night to get ready for his job. He is the only guy I know who irons his t-shirts. Officer Halford truly loved his job. Born in Columbus, Georgia, Richard graduated from Hardaway High School and continued his education at Tuskegee University. He loved children and wound up coaching a boys' football team. Even when his work schedule didn't allow him to coach, Richard still showed up for games to give the youngsters tips on how to improve their play. A perfectionist and humanitarian, Officer Halford was described as a man who treated a homeless person no different than an NFL star. He doted on his daughter and left little for his supervisors to do in the way of correction. Atlanta's police chief said, "Take an example from Richard. Try to make a difference in your small part of the world." The mayor of Atlanta called Halford a man's man who loved his family, loved his daughter, and loved doing his job. A colleague in the air unit commented on the loss of Officer Halford. "Our unit is devastated. I've asked myself many times, how do we move on? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know this. Richard Halford expects us not to stop." Through tears, another of his fellow pilots bid Richard farewell. "Until I see you again, brother. Full pitch. Fly on." Officer Richard Halford is survived by his former wife and a daughter, Gabrielle, along with his parents, a sister, and brother. This tribute honoring Officer Richard Halford was made possible by the generosity of Delta Airlines.